Everybody, welcome back to Road to Master. Hope you're all having an amazing day. We're starting off with the white pieces against a 2013 from Hungary. Let's play a Grand Prix. I know I've been trying, not necessarily successfully, to play the Grand Prix. But we need to stick at it. We need to stick at it and we need to win eventually. Whether that will happen today or not, I genuinely do not know. I think the move is actually Bishop C4 here, which is a bit crazy. But we'll do it. We'll do it and we'll get castled. Sure. We'll still get castled. If they push, we're fine. The knight comes out. We can think about going E5 to sort of lock this backwards pawn. We can think. We can't think about going there because the bishop is blocking that. I don't know what to do. Shock. Jacob does not know what to do. Let's go. I actually think E5's a decent move. I think E5's actually a decent move, which is really strange to say because it's not natural at all. Because you're giving so many holes to that knight. But I just think it works. I think we have to long castle. Not long castle. En passant this. I think we just have to. Yeah, we have to en passant that. Really. We have to. And then we've got to be wary of stuff coming in here. So we can think about that. This is currently hanging at the minute, which is making me want to play a D3. And then we just have to be a bit mindful of this bishop getting potentially trapped. I don't think we've got a particularly horrible position. I don't. We're going to have to play A4 here, I think. We could probably get away with A3 as well. I think we play A4 though. I think we play A4 to stop B5, which would also kick out our knight and make this pawn super weak against their bishop. We can think about a knight E4 here. I think looks good. Does that not just win as a pawn? How do they defend this pawn? I don't think they can. Hopefully. I think. Maybe. Potentially. It could. Possibly. Maybe. And they can't play a b6 because the knight is attacking the queen, so they have to move the queen probably to c7. And then I think we just take the free stuff, right? We take the free stuff. We can go straight back if we absolutely need to. I think we got to take the free stuff. You know me. I'll take a free pawn. I say it every time. I'll take a free pawn. I am not scared of taking a free pawn. If it is actually free. If it's a trap, that obviously does not apply. But hey, we've got a pawn. We've got a pawn in the Grand Prix. Who would have thought? Usually you're the one giving away the pawn in the Grand Prix. Do we go back here or do we go here is the question. We could take. I mean, we're not going to take because that loses the game immediately. So we're not going to do that. We have to move the knight because they can take with check and then do this tactic. So, where are we moving the knight? We move it here, right? We move it there. I think we move it there. I think we move it there. I don't see what's wrong with moving it there. I don't see what's wrong with moving it there, to be clear as well. If I can draw an arrow. But I think this is more central. We could play a c3 here. Is possible. Where's that knight going? Probably straight back. Probably straight back. They could take. They could take and look for a bishop b7. Is interesting. We would have to go like Queen e2. Yeah. I don't hate c3. It allows us to free up our bishop without fear of takes. And obviously the knight cannot go to any of these squares here. It could only go to there, or takes. All of which I think are fine for us. Yeah. I think takes is their best shot, though. I think takes is their best shot, because then at least they get some pressure with the bishop. Not that it does much for them. We'd like to get a d4 in, reroute this bishop to c1 potentially. Maybe go after the king, I'm not sure. They decide to not take, which is interesting. We can't go d4 because of knight takes. Then knight takes, queen takes, they win the bishop at the end, which is not ideal. Can we attack things at all? Not particularly. Not particularly. I'm not wanting to go for a kingside attack because there are way too many things lined up against our king, potentially, that could infiltrate, which I don't like. So I'm hesitant to push our pawns on the king side at least. This is almost Karakani. Almost. We've got f4 though, so also not really at all. Yeah, I'm a bit stuck. I think just bishop e3 looks decent. I mean, we're stopping the checks on the dark squares, so it can't really be a bad move. We don't need the queen to support e4 or anything. There is the threat of rook coming over. Probably this rook. With them bishop takes at some point could be nasty. Need to be aware of that. I think queen e2 works. I think queen e2 works. And then we can push d4. Push d4. We can push d4. We could bring the bishop back if we need. And I'm not worried about any pins coming on the queen either. Which are all good things, I hope. All good things. Yeah, so the rook's going to come in. We're going to play d4. We're going to play d4. Why would we not play d4? Why would we not play d4? It's very solid. Yeah, it's very solid. Of course we're going to play d4. Of course we're going to play d4. And this pawn on f4 is actually doing a great job of stopping this e5 push from them. Their knight's very limited in where it can go to. We probably just bring the bishop back to d3. And we can think about starting to infiltrate their kingside potentially. Now they are threatening to take that again, so we're going to have to move this bishop. Where do we move it to is a great question. Oh, we can take this, right? We can just take that. We can just take that. The bishop and queen are on the same diagonal. Takes. Takes, right? And then what? Rook there. I just go straight back. I just win the free pawn. We're up 2 whole pawns now. We're up 2 whole pawns. How crazy is that? We could even drop back to b5 and be very annoying on b5 if we needed to. The knight does go back to a7 and kick us out straight away, but it's slightly annoying. It's slightly annoying. Yeah, they decide to take. Now we've got rid of their most annoying piece, I think. The knight comes to d5. Surely we just drop the bishop back. We need to cover this pawn. And we don't want to be disconnecting our rooks from the back rank. So we're just going to drop it back. The queen's coming back as well. Maybe back to d3. They can take this. They can take that. I don't think there was any way of stopping them taking that. But to be honest, I think that opens up lines for us. Yeah. I think that opens up lines for us. We can go... Can't really go queen b5 because of rook a5. But then there is a threat of c4. We can go queen c4 though. We can go queen c4. Is an annoying move for them, I think. Because they can't move this queen. Because this knight is currently unguarded. I like that a lot. We can think about knight e5. Because knight can't take, so bishop takes. Then we're sort of opening up lines towards their king, which I like. We can think about b4, b5 with a pin. So they might have to just move a rook straight back. At which point I'd probably still do knight e5, to be honest. Still do knight e5. I don't hate our time either. I would obviously like more. Because I like using time. I'm still going to do knight e5. Right? I'm still... That's not crazy. That's not crazy. Still going to do knight e5. Is there anything crazier we could do? I don't think so. I don't think so. Yeah, I like knight e5. I like opening up lines for our rook. What can I say? What can I say? I like it. Our bishop is technically able to be called a bad bishop. Temporary. I hope. I very much hope it's temporary. We're going to have to consciously make an effort to make life easier for our bishop, I think. But on the plus side, I don't think black has anything they can actually do. So it's up to us to get something out of this position. They go for that. Is weird. Is weird. I mean, I get it. Like, it's a takes train that works out for black because takes. We've got two things under fire there, which aren't particularly helpful. I don't think this is the time to be doing takes trains. I would very much like to take this, but unfortunately, queen takes does not work. Maybe we just play it smart. Maybe we just play it slow. Yeah, I mean, we have to make a move. We can't not make a move. We've got a minute left on the clock. Very much not liking that time. Very much not liking that time. We'll pre-move bishop takes. I think they have to take it. They can't let our knights infiltrate that far into their king side. Yeah. And now you can see this bishop starting to shine a lot. This bishop is loving life. You've got the knight coming in with the pawn. Yeah, we'll put the bishop there. We'll put the bishop there. Try get the king in with the knight. Maybe the queen comes over here with the knight coming in, looking for a mate there. I think we could be going for the kill. And I don't think that's a crazy thing to say. We can think about also knight d6. Looks brutal. Taking this. Well, we'll go there for starters. That wins some material at least. Maybe we have a fork as well. Looks good. Looks good. The knight can come back, but I mean, just takes. They push the pawn again, just takes. I think we're happy. I think we're very happy here. Let's take that. Let's take that. And then we'll go for... We'll go for knight there. I think is better than check, to be honest. Is better than check. and pile up a ton of pressure. Yeah, they decide to sack the exchange again. We'll force off the queens, potentially. I would very much appreciate. I think they're trying to call our bluff on the time. Not ideal. Obviously, it's going to be a hard win. It's going to be a very hard win. Not impossible, though. Very much not impossible. We'll continue our plan of piling up the pressure on the F pawn. We have some checks coming. Let's go there. Okay, I'm going to have to shut up for a second because I really need to focus here if we want to win this. Really going to have to focus. Pre-moving all the tricks. Pre-moving all of the tricks. Okay, here we go. I think we've got it. Boom! Beautiful. I very much appreciated that. They definitely made it easier for us there towards the end. The thing is, they didn't need to rush. They had 3 minutes on the clock. They thought if they sped up, and it's a very common misconception, if your opponent speeds up because they're low on time, that means you have to speed up because you're giving them less time to think. And there is some sort of level of truth to that, but also, if you have more time, you're able to think of trickier ideas that have more depth behind them, rather than shallow moves that warrant a quick reply. You give them something to think about. You use your time and use it to give them something to think about. Anyway, to the game. 86.9 versus a 79.3, 2300, 1800. We got a blunder in there. Okay. The roller coaster, by the way, very steady up. Started off slightly better from the early middle game. Slightly worse from the early middle game. Then slowly went up. So be interested to see what that says, basically. Bishop c5 was the move. Castles, yeah. And then e5 wasn't. So that was the start of our downfall, I guess. The move is bishop b3, which is crazy. And I guess that just stops them doing this with tempo. Makes sense. And it is scary to do this. Because it looks like you're 2 moves away from getting trapped. But realistically, it's too slow. You have more than enough time to fix your position with that bishop. Still, though, extremely scary. d5, I en passonted. Apparently the move is this. And you just give them this. You probably play d4 as well. And it's getting a bit more Sicilian-y rather than... well, I guess it's always been the Sicilian, but rather than like normal sort of Grand Prix, it's a bit more closed. It's almost like the Two Knights French, which is crazy. But, you know, the French and the Sicilian, they're very much linked to each other. So, yeah. Queen takes. D3 was the correct move. A5 is okay. I sort of got that from my Caro Khan knowledge of putting the bishop on c4. You play a4 to stop them playing b5. Because if push takes, you win the rook. It wanted a knight e4, which we saw eventually, and then we just win the pawn. This interesting try with the discovered attack on the knight. We just moved the knight back, and it actually was knight b3 that was the correct reply. Doesn't make, like, I get that it's fine, but it's not like a natural move to make. You want to move back into the center. So we did that. Yeah, and I like this idea of getting the bishop involved this way because this is slightly weak. But this d3 pawn is sort of locking everything down, which I really like. c3 kicking the knight out. Bishop comes out to play, stopping any shenanigans around this diagonal, say if the queen ever came in on b6. Bishop b7, I think you had to play. Apparently the move is knight there. Which makes sense, you're hitting weak stuff. And I think they did that eventually already. I think they did that at some point eventually. Queen e2. The rook comes in sort of looking for this d-pawn, but it's actually sort of well guarded, I think. Saying that, we did push d5 immediately, which lost a significant amount of our advantage. Apparently they can take this. Oh, because it's a double discovered attack. Wow. Double discovered attack. That's crazy. Yeah. Oh, I should have seen that. Yeah, should have seen that. Wow. Yeah. Yeah. No, I should have seen that. It's you never expect the double discovered though. You never expect the double discovered. They give us a free pawn. We happily take. Knight d5 is good. I like it. Apparently though, you just go queen e2 and just let them take, which makes sense. I guess you're trading off pieces when you're up 2 pawns. This bishop's is good, but it's looking at a bit of a wall, you know, and you can't really break either way. So it's sort of staring straight into a wall. Queen c4 is a blunder because of knight takes. Oh, because they have the intermezzo of knight takes check. Ah, that's really, really nice. That is really, really nice. Yeah. And then you've got to go bishop e1 because the threat is, say, if you waste a move. The threat is f5, sorry. Where you're taking away the knight, at which point the bishop will be hanging. So you've got to be very, very careful there. They missed their chance with that one. Luckily for us, they didn't see it. We force off the knights. This is a clever attempt, by the way. I really like this. There is some potential counterplay on these light squares, but at the end of the day, we are up 2 pawns. They trade off their bishop, and I'm very happy here because these dark squares are incredibly, incredibly weak once they trade off their bishop. So this bishop that's been sort of dead the entire time suddenly just springs to life. There are so many tactics like mating threats and such. It's just happy. Yeah. Bishop h6 looking for like knight check with some tactics, whatnot. Bishop g5 kicking the queen, win the exchange. They trade off the exchange again, which is probably the right thing to do. You can't let me get too much pressure on the f file. Being low on time as well, these knights can be a bit tricky, so we gotta be careful. Tried to trade off the queens. One of these pawns is always going to be weak because you can't get it past the d pawn. So we line up some pressure. They commit to weakening the e pawn, and then switch over the pressure to the e pawn. They have to go back there. At which point we're threatening to go rook e2 with this pin, which is nasty. We're threatening to win this knight as well. Keep the pressure on, and then they fall victim to this cheap sort of pin. Very quickly get the rooks into an attacking position and go for the quickest ladder mate I've ever done. Yeah, that was a good game. Really enjoyed that. I'm getting... I can't even say I'm getting the grip of the Grand Prix because I'm not playing it enough. I need to play it more. I really want it to work. I really like the ideas behind it. So I really need to study it. I think a video series is the way to go because for some reason I absorb video information more than reading. I'm not sure. Anyway, thank you all for watching. I hope you all enjoyed. Please like if you liked. Please subscribe if you really liked. And I'll catch you guys all tomorrow. Bye-bye.